Great. Well, I'm Brendan Kelly. I'm the Associate Director for Cancer.net Operations at the American Society of Clinical Oncology. A little bit of background about me. I've been at ASCO for about 14 years. I came on board before we even launched Cancer.net. It wasn't even called Cancer.net then. It was called People Living with Cancer. We had a very small little area on the ASCO.org site called People Living with Cancer, and it was designed for patient information and more along the lines of providing information to our members to give to their patients and not necessarily directly to the patients. So when we started People Living with Cancer at plwc.org, it was designed to go more directly to the patients, to provide credible and quality information to the public, and something that our members could say, hey, look, this is something that my professional society has put together. We know that it's credible. We know that it's reliable. Please share it with your patients. So a little bit about ASCO. ASCO is the world's leading professional society for oncologists. We have more than 40,000 members. We improve cancer care through scientific meetings, educational programs, peer-reviewed journals. Our main journal is the Journal of Clinical Oncology. We also have the Journal of Oncology Practice. We just launched Journal of Global Oncology. And if you hear anything about cancer news at the end of May, beginning of June, right around that first weekend of June, that's usually our meeting. We basically take over Chicago. Last year we had about 37,000 attendees. So it's a fairly large meeting where a lot of good science comes out about cancer. Our mission is to be committed to conquering cancer through research, education, prevention, and delivery of high-quality patient care. So part of it is the patient information program, and that's where I come in. We want to increase the accessibility of credible cancer information. We want to be the authoritative source of high-quality cancer education materials. That includes the website printed materials that doctors can give to their patients, that people can pick up in like hospital libraries and things like that. And then to be able to put that information out in a timely manner, to be able to make sure that people understand it in a way that is applicable to them. So the goals of the patient information program, the guiding principles, primary audience, obviously, patients, families, friends. And then the secondary is what I alluded to before, are members, other healthcare providers, patient advocate organizations that also reach patients. We want to make sure that ASCO can provide high quality educational materials directly to the patient. We've referred to that as the voice of the physician, because all of our information is oncologist vetted, oncologist approved and reviewed. And so the patient information program is designed to be an integral part of ASCO's vision of improving cancer care and prevention. And then we'll get to adapting new technologies later with the mobile app. So Cancer.net, I talked a little bit about this. It was established in 2002. It's an award-winning site with more than, we leveraged the more than 40,000 members for the site. We're funded by ASCO and our foundation arm, the Conquer Cancer Foundation. We provide timely, comprehensive oncologist-approved information to help people make informed healthcare decisions, get the right information they need. We've won numerous awards for content design, ease of use. We're pretty proud of that. So here's a basic overview. I'm going to go through a basic overview of Cancer.net and the sections that we have. And so this is a screenshot of the homepage. We have 7 main content areas. So there's types of cancer, navigating cancer care, coping with cancer, research and advocacy, survivorship, and we have a blog as well that we put breaking news on and have regular articles a couple of times a week. This latest design, we went through a major testing process to get to this design, usability testing, the entire site, not just little sections of it. We did a card sorting exercise to inform our architecture. It took a very long time to get to this point. We're very proud of it. And then this time we'd had Spanish information on the site from, I want to say 2005, 2006. This time we actually mirrored the site in Spanish. So anything that has a Spanish component a Spanish version of that piece of content, you can toggle it from the top right. So going into the types of cancer section, this is the meat of our section. This is the most popular area of the site. Obviously, people, if they are diagnosed with cancer, if they have a family member diagnosed with cancer, they want to know all about that as much as they can. So we've placed some of the more common cancers here on the opening tab, and then you can go into more specific. We have guides on about 125 different types of cancer and cancer-related syndromes. That includes disease-specific treatment, side effects information, symptoms, diagnosis, and then even the latest research on those cancer. For here we have the Spanish translations about the most common types of cancer affecting Hispanics and Latinos in the United States. Under navigating cancer care, in this latest redesign a couple of years ago, we kind of separated the process from the emotional. And we'll get to the next section is coping with cancer, and that's more of the emotional aspects of it. But in here we talk more about the process. So we have risk factors, the basics about cancer, how it's treated, different diagnostic procedures, side effects, and then the process of managing your care. And then with coping with cancer, we're talking more about the emotional effects of cancer. How to navigate relationships, talking with your family, caring for someone. We call it caregiving. And making sure that if you're caring for someone with cancer, your needs are met as well. It's a very stressful process. So one of the things that people are focusing on now is making sure that the people caring for people with cancer are being taken care of. Research and advocacy area, this is where you'll go to find the latest research. I was talking about our meeting. We have a comprehensive database where we have all of our news that has come out of the meeting over the last several years. Anything that's particularly applicable to patients from our journals, those kinds of things, and that's in there as well. We have some introductory information about the cancer research process. So if you're unfamiliar with how clinical trials work, that information would be in there. How does something get presented at the ASCO annual meeting? What does that mean? So that's in there as well, in this section as well. The survivorship section, we have more than 14 million Americans have a history of cancer, so we want to meet their needs as well. In this section, we talk about follow-up care after treatment, living with cancer after, or living after cancer, any long-term side effects people might have from cancer treatment, and if cancer comes back, if somebody has a recurrence, then we cover some of that information as well. And then our blog. A blog was launched about 2 or 3 years ago. It provides our practical tips for living with cancer. We have guest authors all the time. Our editor-in-chief usually writes about once a month. We'll break down news about cancer into more digestible content. So we also have podcasts, and those are housed here, where our biggest podcast series comes after the annual meeting, and we go to our editorial board and say, okay, what do you think is the most important thing for the type of cancer that you cover? And we'll record a podcast with them and release those over the month. So we really try to break it down for the general public as well. So now we're going to do a little advertising, and we're going to say why do we think Cancer.net is a great resource. Our information is peer reviewed annually by an editorial board. We have 150 members on the editorial board. That's not just oncologists, it's nurses, it's patient advocates, it's survivors, it's oncology nurses, social workers, all kinds of things. Every single cancer type on the website goes through a yearly review. Everything else on the site was on a 2-year cycle. Now we've moved it up to a 1-year cycle. So every piece of content on the site gets touched at least once a year. And then, of course, if there is some breaking news or something practice changing, we definitely reach out to our members of our editorial board and make sure that things get updated that way. New content and features are added weekly through the blog and other sections. So we want to make sure that the latest research findings are put into context for the general public. And that's through our annual meeting. We have several other thematic meetings throughout the year, and through the journals here. You see screenshots of our JCO and JLP there. We also have several interactive digital assets. So one is a comprehensive medical illustrations gallery. The medical illustrations gallery houses both anatomical and staging illustrations for several types of cancer, where you can get a good feel for where things are in the body and at what stage they are. We talked about the podcast. We also have a video program that we release several times a year, mostly through the annual meeting as well. We have a mobile app. We'll get to the mobile app in a little bit. I talked about the blog there. The Find a Cancer Doctor I have not talked about, and this is a cool thing we added a couple of years ago, where we have members who have allowed their information to be public. We paired it with Google Maps and location tracking, where you can be able to find an oncologist near you. Patient Access is a program that we've started a few years ago, where patients can receive journal articles for a very low cost through the site and get the science directly should they choose. These are some of the printed materials that I spoke about before. These are all available for download on the site. We have disease-specific guides and fact sheets. So you see the fact sheet on the top right there, the brain tumor fact sheet. We also have these ASCO Answers booklets on cancer survivorship, managing the cost of care, tobacco cessation, obesity. These are all available in print and for PDF download. So then why else should people use Cancer.net? Well, a lot of people use it. A lot of other places think that our information is reliable and should be used. So we've got more than 300,000 external links to this site. You can see some examples of the sites that link to us. They exist on several different types of sites, social media channels, cancer centers, patient advocacy groups, news articles, and those kinds of things. We've experienced steady growth for our social media channels. These we're happy with it. We're happy that we're growing. we're not one of the largest organizations out there, but we do have a good bit of engagement, and it's only increasing. So we're very happy with that. Our blog does provide that additional engagement, and most people actually interact with the blog through Facebook, which we found pretty interesting. And then other people use it. So here are some testimonials. I won't go into all of them, but we think it's great. They think it's great. Everybody thinks it's great, right? So now we'll get a little bit into the app. So one of the things that we did, and I'll talk a little bit more about the features of the app and what our goals were. So going into it, we were thinking about, do we want to just slap the website in an app and call it a day, or do we want to really have something that is useful for patients and their caregivers on a day-to-day basis? One of the ways that we refer to it, do we want to extend the site, or do we want to complement the site? We really wanted to complement it by providing something that would really be useful. So when we're talking about it, and over the past, since I've been at ASCO, you can tell how things have changed in cancer and cancer care. And one of the ways that is probably 30, 40 years ago, you had, wherever your cancer appeared, that's what kind of cancer you had. So you had lung cancer. But over time, we realized there's so many different ways that you could break it down. So okay, you have lung cancer, but do you have small cell or non-small cell? If you have non-small cell, do you have squamous cell, adenocarcinoma, large cell undifferentiated? And then it breaks down so far. And then beyond that, what we're finding now is in the molecular era, you have so many different mutations within your tumor. How do you identify what kind of cancer you have? Is it really just lung cancer, or do you have a KRAS mutation? Do you have a HER2 mutation? And it might not matter where your cancer appears. It might just matter how it's made up. And that's really kind of an exciting thing, because then you get into targeted therapies and all kinds of very cool ways to treat cancer that are changing the way people are looking at it all the time. So it's very exciting. But the cancer itself is just the start. After you're diagnosed, there's so many complex things that you have to go through. It can be overwhelming. You're meeting with surgeons, you're meeting with radiation oncologists, you're meeting with medical oncologists, nurses, social workers, physical therapists, dietitians, everything else. So you need a way to be able to untie that knot. And the way that we think that you can do it is with the three major patient needs that we think are there, are that they need reliable, comprehensive information, that information is accessible whenever it's needed, and that there are practical tools that they can use to navigate the care. So we talked a little bit earlier about why I think ASCO and Cancer.net is who you can trust, but you might be able to trust your neighbor with the pills and the drinks, and the used car salesman, the mad scientist here. So this is what reliable information looked like in 2002. It's nice and quaint now. This is what it looked like when I started. This nice curved line that caused me many headaches. But in 2016, what does that mean? So only 61% of adults were online in 2002. That's up to 87% now. Cancer.net at that time only had 5 main content areas. We've kind of gone up and down with the content areas there. We only started with 25 cancer types. We've bumped that up by 100. We used to have live chats. Now we've moved on to podcasts and videos. Only had about 3,000 links. Now we've got 330,000. We used to have message boards on the site. Now we utilize Twitter, the blog, Facebook, that kind of thing. And people had flip phones and now smartphones. So So they're accessing it in many different ways now, and in a much different way than they were 14 years ago. 92% of US adults have a cell phone, 64% have a smartphone, and 15% of Americans use a smartphone for their primary internet, which is incredible. I mean, so you have to be thinking about that when you're designing and when you're trying to get people the information that they need. You need to be able to get it to them where they are and how they access it. So 72% of U.S. adults look online for health information, and 62% of smartphone users use their phone. And usually they're looking out something for someone else, maybe a family member, a parent. And then here's where we get a little bit more into the app. They track health indicators or symptoms. About a third of people track health indicators of symptoms, blood pressure, sleep patterns, food intake, those kinds of things, on their phones. Or So we wanted to take this and not just be an extension of the website and just put the website on the phone, but we wanted to take the best content, put it in a way that's accessible, and has the backing of our organization, 40,000 strong, to be able to provide features that they think people need the most. So here are the 4 key challenges. The information needs to be accessible. They want to track their medications, track their symptoms, and make sure that they are getting all the information they need from their doctor, or their provider, I should say. So background on the mobile app, we released our iPhone version in 2011, about a year from yesterday, it looks like. Or a year from yesterday, 5 years from yesterday. The Android app followed about a year later. We released a Spanish-enabled version in 2013, and they've been downloaded more than 83,000 times. That's new downloads, not just updates and things like that. We have about an 80% update. 80% of people who download it will update it. So accessible information, we've set it up so that it pulls some of what we think the most important information from the site. People can always go to the site, but we thought it might be helpful to have some of the most important things on the app, like our cancer types, like side effects information, and some coping information as well. And all of that is automatically updated. It pulls from the site, so if we update it on the website, it updates in the app as well. We also have an area where you can see the latest podcasts, the videos, and all the most recent blog posts as well, and that updates automatically. Medications, I apologize, this isn't the best photo of it, but in the medications area, you can save information about the medications that you're prescribed. You can take pictures of the labels, send any information to your doctor about it right from the app, any questions you might have. And then you can put in your dosage information and those kinds of things. So you have it at a glance. Everything that you're on, you can either take a picture of the pill or the bottle, and you see exactly what you're looking at or what you're supposed to be doing. Symptoms works kind of the same way. We have a color-coded severity. So when you go in, it can be mild, it can be severe. You're tracking it on the exact date and time. You say, okay, well, I'm feeling nauseous right now. You can go and track it. And then when you're sitting there across the desk from your doctor, let's talk about your last week. You can pull it right up. Well, I was feeling nauseous at 11 o'clock on Tuesday. And here's what happened before that and after that. So we do have a list of common symptoms that are in there, but you can always create your own, any notes about it. And then you can email that if you don't want to wait, you can email it to a provider if you need to. Getting your questions answered. So we have a list of suggested questions, of course. You can add your own. When you're sitting there asking your question, you can record that on the phone. So you push the button and record their answer, because sometimes you're not hearing everything when you're sitting there. You're hearing bits and pieces, and it's very difficult to remember, even if you're sitting there with somebody else. It's very difficult to remember everything at that appointment or something like that. So we provided the ability to record everything digitally on the phone, and you can call back to it later if you need to. And then again, if you have specific questions, you can email those from the app. A couple of good reviews on the app. We're very proud of the app, and it's a continuous work in progress. We're always looking at ways to improve it. Like I said, we did testing on it actually very recently. So then how can mobile assist in healthcare decisions in the future? So on this left side here, it's more in a traditional way. So the patient logs in the app, and then they talk about it with their doctor, and then they make a decision. But maybe in the future, and we talked about a little bit about this offline before the presentation, maybe there's a way to have that discussion go both ways, and have multiple people in that discussion, and able to access all of that information at once. And then you can make a much more informed and decision that way. So what's coming up? What's in the future? Mobile first, not necessarily app first. I talked a little bit about how you can always put the content in an app, but if you look at that 15% number, about how that's 15% of adults use their smartphone for their primary internet access. They're not sitting down at a computer looking at a nice 950 or 1,000 pixel wide website. So you need to be thinking mobile first at all times. More than 50% of our traffic to cancer.net is through mobile. So as we're moving forward, we're thinking more and more and more about how does it affect the experience of somebody on a phone screen. So we want to make sure that is always at the top of our mind, because people are looking at it everywhere. So if somebody says, okay, you're sitting at the doctor's office and they say, you have breast cancer, one of the first things people are going to do is pull out their phone and start looking up. So we want to make sure that their experience is a good one. We do regular usability testing on the site, on the app, to make sure that we're hitting everything that everybody needs. Instead of doing a giant process like we did for that last redesign, we do much more smaller testing. It's more of an iterative process, so that we're not having to do everything all at once at all times. It becomes such a huge project. We can take little things like our caring for people with cancer, like the caregiver section, and bring in actual caregivers and they can tell us, this is what's working, this is what's not, and we can make adjustments on the fly. We've actually just completed an accessibility audit in the last couple of months. So we're working on achieving WCAG 2.0, a AA certification for cancer.net. We're very excited about that because we want to be able to provide information to everybody, no matter what technology they're using or anything. So it all comes together in that way. And then we also have a full app update coming in the next quarter or two, to make sure that we're meeting everyone's needs in that as well. So here are a couple of things I wanted to point out, and I can leave this up for a little bit, or we can come back to it. these are some of the ways that we provide patient support directly. And that one is through the Find a Cancer Doctor database. So if you're looking for an oncologist, if you're looking for a second opinion, people can find that through that database on the site. We talked a little bit about the patient education materials. They can be ordered on our bookstore or through the site. You can download it from the site directly. We also have we call it a patient information line, and that's if you have a direct question. So if you send an email or call that, we have someone on staff that can research information for you and get back to you. I have to say that this disclaimer up here, we can't provide medical advice, but we can point you in the right direction as much as we can. And then lastly, please engage with us. We love comments. We love discussions. So here's our Twitter handle, our Facebook address, and our YouTube address as well. And with that, if anybody has any, I don't know if there are questions, if they can do questions online or anything like that, I'm happy to answer. I'm happy to stick around as well. So. But let me put this back up so everybody has it.
Not a question, but really a comment to talk about the importance of what you were saying about the app. Like, I have MS, that all I can use because of vision issues is my smartphone.
Okay.
So
yeah.
It's very useful that you have things that. I'm one of those, 14%?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm one of those. And then also, I just learned today that in the workplace, millennials have outnumbered baby boomers for the first time. And I think that's a trend that will only expand. I'm Gen X, but, it's a trend that will only expand. So you're very much thinking the future.
It took us a while to get there, but we're really trying to think in those terms, and that's a very good point about how millennials are overtaking baby boomers in the workplace, and the technology is making everything such a different world, and making sure that you're looking, everything is possible from the palm of your hand at this point. And we want to make sure that everybody has accessible information that's reliable and credible.
And also, another thing I liked from your presentation was the discussion of allies. The importance that you stated of allies. I think those are crucial. And it's not just the small group, it's also everybody. Caregivers, professionals, and all that.
Yeah, it's very important. I mean, you don't generally go through the process alone. So you're going to have other people going through that with you. It's a very different world. My father had cancer in the mid '90s, and he had stomach cancer, was treated in a clinical trial at NCI, and even I can tell completely different. It's a completely different world from then than it is now. There's so much more care given to the whole patient now than there was then.
And to that point that you said, not only it affects not only the person, the patient, it affects everybody. Like in my situation, I had an email from my brother yesterday about MS research and stem cells. Only get that when you have everybody's.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
great.
Like you said, yeah.
If there's nothing coming in that I don't have anything else, I hope that was helpful to people. Maybe somebody hadn't heard of us before and can pass that along. And I have, if anybody's can stop in later, and I'll leave all the pens, and I've got some other giveaways here that people can take with them. But please, utilize the information line, utilize the site, and we'll do everything we can for you.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're supposed to